How to stop a dog from barking. It's really normal for dogs to bark. They bark to warn another dog to stay out of their territory. They bark when happy or at play. They bark when danger seems near. And they bark when they are about to attack or are afraid. Admittedly, too much barking can be annoying, which is why dog owners really have to take a healthy and practical approach when learning how to stop a dog from barking. Some breeds are prone to bark louder and more frequently than others, and some dogs are just individually high-strung. Knowing how to stop a dog from barking does not really mean getting a dog to stop vocalizing 24/7. Rather, it's more about training your dog to be quiet when you command them to. We looked to some expert dog trainers about how excessive barking can be managed, and they shared the following tips. 1. Weaning your dog away from making too much noise will take some time and consistent effort, especially if the dog has been allowed to bark indiscriminately for quite some time. Don't expect to see changes in just a few hours or days. Also, when training your dog to be quieter, you should always be pleasant and nice. Dogs respond to positive reinforcement better when it comes to refraining from a certain action. Talk to your family and make sure that everyone knows how to respond to your dog's behaviors appropriately at all times. Unless you all react in the same manner each and every time, your dog is just going to be confused on what is expected of him. 2. The first thing that you need to do is observe what triggers the barking. Is it the sight of strangers coming inside your yard, or passers-by coming within his line of sight? Does he bark just because he feels restless and needs to burn off some energy? Is he barking because he's hungry, thirsty, or otherwise uncomfortable? 3. Once you have observed your dog's barking triggers, eliminate or minimize them. You can prevent him from seeing passers-by by drawing the drapes across the windows which look out into the street, or move him someplace where he won't be constantly bombarded by the sight of unfamiliar people. 4. Don't reward his barking with attention, even if it's just to shout at him to shut up. First of all, shouting at the dog while he is barking only makes him think that you are barking along with him and joining in on the fun. You should refrain from looking, petting, or talking to your dog while he is having a barking episode, no matter how long it takes. It teaches him that being quiet is the way to get his owner's attention. 5. Be very patient about waiting out a barking marathon no matter how long it takes. Otherwise, you risk making the situation worse. You see, ignoring a dog for barking for several hours can backfire if you give in and scream at him to be quiet after some time. He learns that as long as he keeps on barking, you will eventually notice him. 6. Praise and reward your dog as soon as he stops. At first, you can give him a belly rub and a tasty treat if he keeps quiet for a few minutes. Gradually lengthen the time between the rewards until he gets used to being silent for several hours at a time. Note that this process can draw itself out for months. 7. Train your dog to fall silent on command by first teaching him to bark when you say so. It may seem counterproductive to teach a dog to bark when that is the issue per se, but unless he becomes aware of the fundamental difference between keeping quiet and making noise, he won't understand what you want from him. All too often, a dog who barks too much is often looking to relieve his boredom, stress, or frustration. Before getting started with implementing the tips we gave on how to stop a dog from barking, arrange his routine so that your dog gets adequate physical and mental stimulation on a daily basis. A dog who feels contented and pleasantly tired is less likely to make too much noise.